All right, we are up and running, and we'll get Amazon going here, then we'll get cooking. I don't think I've done a YouTube stream in a while. I don't think I've done one since, maybe we did one after the holidays. I've done a few on Amazon, but not on both. So, there we go. So, I've been eager ever since I got in, close my back room there. Ever since I got this laptop in a little while ago from Asus, I was eager to try Wi-Fi 7 because this has Wi-Fi 7 built in. But I did not have any Wi-Fi 7 equipment, although I've just ordered some more. But I got this in the other day from Asus. And so what I thought I would do is we'll try out their top of the line one here because I have a 10 gig Ethernet connection or internet connection, so we'll see if we can keep up with it. So this one apparently has two 10 gigabit per second connections, and we'll see how the Wi-Fi 7 works on it. So that's the goal for today. Today's a learning day. William Wilkinson is here. Dee Johnson is here. And Byron Shannon Sr. is here. I'm assuming with an emoji. That's how the emojis come off on my on my thing here. Ned Dredd is here as well. And we're live on both Amazon and on YouTube. Grand Admiral Thrawn is here from the Outer Rim. Good to see you, sir. Hope your conquests are going well. And how do we get into this thing? So I tend to mangle the boxes and it makes people upset. So we're gonna do this the right way here. Just rip part of the box. Yeah, so they've got a bunch of these that just came out. And this one I'm starting with because it's the most powerful. So we can see what most people don't need. I think is kind of how it goes. So I have not tried this yet. We're going into this fresh. So let's see what we get when we start poking at this here. And I'll get the right one selected on the Amazon feed too, so we can keep everything copacetic. So these sell for like $359 standalone, and then this is the 2-pack. And I'm guessing that the 2-pack works like, I guess you just plug one in on the other end or something. Okay, so before you use this, make sure your driver is up to date. Okay, so we'll make sure I think I'm up to date on my drivers. Having trouble? Call us before you return. I think this has a 3-year warranty also. So I'm going to start with one of these and then we'll bring in the other one. I think they're identical. Let's see. So the BQ16 is more powerful. So I don't think I have that one. Let me see what else they sent me. They sent me the BT10. And I don't think I have anything that can really take advantage of it anyhow. So I have a BT8, a 10, and a 5. So I don't have the 16. So what we're testing is the most powerful one that they sent me. I don't get the high-end stuff. I get the other stuff. Josiah Guernsey is here. D. Smith is here. He's got some. They're great. Yeah, Asus is good. These are Asus is a Taiwan company, not a Chinese company. So I know there's been some concerns over Chinese routers. Although I think they're made in China. Let me see. Made in Vietnam. Oh, wow. So these are made in Vietnam, not in China. Just like the Mac Mini. You're getting there. It's going to happen. I have faith. Unwild is here. I can mangle the box if you'd like. We can do that later. And MadFan, yeah, I'm glad you tuned. These are always fun because it's kind of like watching car racing. Even if you're not into car racing, the wrecks are usually fun to watch. And that's typically what happens here. So why don't we look at one of these and then we'll try to get the mesh working a little bit later. So what we've got here is we have a 10 gig LAN and a 10 gig WAN. And then this one is just a regular 1 gig. So we're going to plug in here, and we're going to do a double NAT. So we're going to run it through my other router just because it's easier to do it that way for testing. And you got a physical switch on here. There's a USB port. You got a reset and a WPS on the bottom. And I think both units are completely identical, just different MAC addresses. So one has to be configured to be a router and the other just an access point, I guess. Yeah, these are identical. Yep. Oh wait, they're not necessarily. So this sticker says, "Hi, I'm the main unit. Start with me." And I guess you got to use an app to set these up. So we will download the app on my phone and get everything set up properly. So there you go. Okay, so why don't we, well, let's start with this one. I'm assuming there's power that has to get plugged in. Yep. So we'll get that going. It's like a maze in here trying to find what else. There's a lot of empty filler boxes. I'm guessing the power adapter is in here, maybe? Let's see, yeah. So we have an Ethernet cable, a power adapter, ×2. They only give you one Ethernet cable, though. So we'll come back and do the mesh unit in a little while. And I might do that one offline or something. So, all right, so here's the, oops, whoa, geez, that wasn't good. Okay, so here is the mesh unit on its own. Fairly attractive. And we will get the app and we'll plug it in. And D. Smith says it's pretty easy, just power it on. That's good, we'll hit the easy button. Day Trip 02 is here, Rick B is here, Estes Flask is here, and Grand Admiral Thrawn, as he's planning galactic conquest, is always tuning into the channel. Because we have a lot of fun here playing with stuff. These are always my fun, the best live streams are the ones where we're kind of learning about something together. Now, I will say up front that I am a Wi-Fi person. So I use the Wi-Fi gear in my house. I had some issues with it early on, and they've largely worked themselves out. I have the Wi-Fi Dream Machine, which I've been running now for, geez, almost 4 or 5 years. So when I got that multi-gigabit connection, the Wi-Fi was like the only thing that would work. So I haven't had a need to switch because I'm able to get the full bandwidth of my internet connection through that Wi-Fi unit. So I've like the only thing that I don't like about Wi-Fi is that their 2.5 gig support on switches is limited. They're starting to come up with more of them, but it has been a bit limited. All right, so I'm going to plug in my 10 gig connection into that port there. The next thing we need to do is get the app. So let me grab my phone here and scan the App Store code for that. And that will guide us through the install process. So let me go find that real quick. And I'll set it up on my, actually, do I have one of my Android phones? Maybe I'll set it up on the Android phone just because I can keep my phone free. Screw it, we'll just do it this way. All right, so we'll hit the iPhone app link. All right, so the app, and it turns out I have this app already. The app is called Asus Router. Let me zoom out a little bit here. So I used to have an Asus router years and years ago. Actually, you know what's funny? So at my old job, we got acquired by this big company, but I was running the entire company off of like a consumer grade Asus router. And right after the acquisition, they had their security people try to penetrate it, and it was so simple they couldn't penetrate it. There's a GUI also. Yeah, I would like to set it up on the computer. That's my default. Charlie Purdy is here, but we will go with what they recommend. So what we're going to do here first is I'm going to switch on, I'm going to power it up and get irradiated by all the radiation. There's a little light that lights up on here so we know it's coming up. So let that boot up here. And let me open up my phone now. So I'm going to load the app up. And I've got to agree to terms and conditions. Look how much, there's a lot of them. All this. Does anybody read this stuff? You probably should. But if I did, we'd never get around to hooking this thing up. All right. And then we're going to say, I'm going to say agreeing to everything. All right, so now we're being welcomed in. And we're going to set up a new network. So I guess they're kind of modeling the Unify experience here. Rick B got Comcast 1 gig fiber. Now, is that a new Comcast product, or is that the Gig Pro like I have? Because now they're doing like different tiers of their Gigabit Pro. I'm on whatever they hooked me up with initially, so same money. I went from 2 gigs to 10 gigs. It's crazy. Yeah, you know what's funny is the Amazon notifications work most of the time, but not all the time. All right, so the iPhone is not Wi-Fi 7. So the laptop that I have here today that we're going to be playing with, so this is the only Wi-Fi 7 device I own at the moment. So we'll see how it does. Actually, let me check on the iPhone. It might, I don't know, I got the newest iPhone. Let's see. iPhone 16 Pro Max Wi-Fi. Let's see what it has. We'll look up the specifications here. Let's go down and look at our... Okay, so... Oh, it does have Wi-Fi 7. Oh, cool. So the iPhone does have Wi-Fi 7, so we can use the iPhone to test things. And we'll use the computer. Why not? Because I have a 10 gig Ethernet adapter that we're going to use with the computer. So I'm glad you asked that, because I was not aware of that. All right. So yeah, we're going to do the iPhone. Okay, so we're going to set up a new network. Now this is their Zen Wi-Fi series, so it's not the Wi-Fi router series. Oh boy, they got a lot of them. So they sent me 2 of these outdoor ones. Maybe I'll throw those outside later. We'll see how those do. We're probably not going to get to all of this today. I think today we're going to get this set up. We'll get a speed test done. We'll get a feel for it, and then I'll put together the video. I haven't reviewed a router or networking thing in a long time, partly because when I find something that works for me, I stop looking at other stuff because I just don't need it, right? And it's not good if you're a product reviewer to do that. But the other thing is, Wi-Fi is really hard to review because everyone's situation's different. My house is different than your house. I've got different stuff than you have. If you've got plaster walls, that makes an impact, right? There's a lot to it. Yeah, so Rick B, what I've heard what they're doing is they've been running fiber to the home in lieu of coax. And then inside the home, I think they've got like some other thing that I think goes back to coax. I'm not sure. Let me know what they hooked up in your house. As long as it works, it's great. Is it symmetrical? I think the fiber is symmetrical for them. So CR Paul's router. So I would look, if your router is that old, maybe look to update it, because I don't know how fast your internet connection is, but I had a router that was old and I upgraded it and I was like, wow, we actually got much better performance out of it. Okay, so what do I have to do here? This is the BT, is this the BT10? Is that what I have here? Yes, I have the BT10. So I'm going to select BT10 on the list. Then I need to scan the QR code on the bottom of this thing. So I got to take out my camera here, allow. And I'm going to scan the bottom of the unit here, if my camera will focus. Okay, so now what it's asking me to do, it's going to join the Wi-Fi network automatically. And now I'm going to just allow while using the app. It wants to know where I am. Okay, so now it is doing something. Okay, so now it's searching for the Asus router. I'm assuming it will find it because it's right next to it. There it is. Okay, so we're going to get started. I kind of want to see what this is about. Okay, so that's all this stuff. All right, so we'll say get started. And it's going to go through a detection process here. And Admiral Thrawn recently got an iPhone 16 Pro. I like my iPhone 16 Pro, although it's not like anything different or better than my last one. All right, so now it's asking us to call this something. So we're going to call this Asus, just so I know what it is. I got Wi-Fi all over the place here. Asus test, I'm going to call it 7. And then I need to give it a password, which I'm going to do right now. All right, so I'm going to, that says separate Wi-Fi network. I'm just going to leave it as the default because I kind of want to follow what the standard consumer experience might be. All right, so now, so here's another neat thing that it does. I like this actually. So it creates a separate network for your IoT devices. So in other words, it will isolate your light switches and all the other junk. Now I do that like the manual way here, and that works fine. But you can actually create an isolated network for those things, which is different than the guest network. So I'm going to click next on that. And now I got to create a local login account. So let me do that real quick. And it looks like the phone is the only way to get this set up. All right. Okay, so now it is applying our settings. Yeah, I think if you end up with a phone that you like, people aren't upgrading their phones as much as they used to. Although tonight I'm doing a video about over-the-air television again. It's just such a target-rich environment. All right, we're going to update the firmware. So there's a new standard called 5G TV, and the premise behind 5G TV is that your phone could receive a signal over the air similar to a television or radio signal and use it as a data cast. So you could have TV channels, you could have data being sent to your phone, and unlike your typical cellular connection where everybody's got this one-to-one connection, everybody sees the same thing. It's a broadcast. And there's a conglomerate of broadcasters here in the U.S. They own low-powered TV stations, and they want permission to use 5G TV versus ATSC3. Now, there's no phone at the moment that can tune into this, but apparently the way this works is the 5G TV, even though it's a broadcast, is using 5G smartphone technology insofar as how this phone communicates with its tower. So conceivably, all the manufacturers have to do is just add the frequency range that the broadcasters would use for this 5G TV, and your phone could pick up a 5G TV signal without even having a cellular connection. It can just pick it up over the air like a broadcast. And in looking at it, I think it makes the most sense. It's really neat. So that's going to be tonight's video. I already gave it away, but we're going to look into it in more detail. But that's what we'll be talking about tonight. So they've got a black box that goes into the house. Yeah, I think it makes sense for Comcast on new installs. Like, why keep coax going, right? It doesn't make any sense anymore. So if you go and look at if you go to Lon.TV/GigPro, let me make sure I got the right, I think it's GigPro. Yeah, Lon.TV/GigPro, I documented my entire Comcast connection. And so it was 4 years ago. It was October of 21. Was it 21 or 2020? Let me see. It's been, it's funny. You just lose track of time. Let me look here. Let me see when this happened. Hey, everybody. Yeah, so 4 years ago, okay, it was 2020. So in September of 2020, I got this installed, and I have video of the entire construction process. So they had to run the fiber all the way into this conduit. It took them a while. It was like 3 different visits. So like the guys came out first to get all the wire run, and then the other guys came in to do the home splicing, and it was cool. And I documented all of it. It's pretty cool. So it is likely to have DRM. I can't see it not having it just because that's what these people want. But the difference, though, is that if they're targeting phones, it means that more than Android would work with it, which has been the problem with ATSC3. I think the DRM is an issue, and it's the cause of a lot of the issues that they've run into because it's so restrictive, right? Like you can't use it the way you want to use it. And I think if there was DRM, but you didn't have restrictions in how you can use it, then who cares, right? So we'll see what happens. I don't think the broadcasters, though, will switch to this format because it's not theirs. So 5G TV is kind of a product of the cellular phone industry. So it wouldn't be hard for areas that don't have it to get it. And that's been one of the areas that the FCC has been focusing on. Even using 5G as a backbone for some of this data. So I think they're trying to speed up a lot of that process now. A lot of the money that was earmarked for this never got directed. So we'll see what happens. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, so what the video tonight's about is this broadcast conglomerate asking for permission to do it. So even though they have the frequencies already, because they use their TV signals over those same frequencies, they can't use the 5G modulation over the frequencies that they have for TV. So that's what they're asking about. I have not heard about this, but it doesn't surprise me. Everybody's just gobbling everyone else up. We've got like this big collection of oligopolies that makes everything crappy. Morgan Nye is here. Good to see you. I may actually do a video about my call I had today with my doctor, who's great, is part of a hospital network who's not great. And I got this bill that I got like double charged for everything, and they can't explain it to me. Like I'm happy to pay it if I owe it, but they can't answer the question. So I get a call today. So you go and see your doctor, okay? Your doctor is in a facility that's owned by the hospital. So you get a bill. I'm sorry, I'm just blabbering here. I'm waiting for this thing to do whatever it's doing. So you get a bill from the hospital for your doctor visit, but only for the facility use. So there's a charge to enter the building, apparently. And there's a charge. I had, just a normal checkup kind of thing. They did an EKG. So I got a charge for the EKG. And then, but not the doctor's charge, but the equipment charge. So apparently, if you're curious, it costs like $250 to just have a simple EKG done. And then your insurance has some deal with them, and you're paying less than that. So I had that on one end. And then you get another bill from the doctor. So I got a bill from the doctor for whatever the doctor did, which was just my checkup. And then there was another doctor who I didn't see, who's charging me $50 to look at the EKG, which they did the day after. Like, what's that about? So I sent on the chart thing that you have, and by the way, we're still just waiting for this to finish up. So I sent a thing through the My Chart, which is their digital tool that they communicate to you with, but only when it's convenient for them, not the other way around. And I get this message back saying, "Oh, we're the hospital. We're not the doctor's office." And I said, "Okay." So they're all under the same ownership by this nonprofit Yale Health Network here in Connecticut, right? So they can't answer the question about what the doctor's side of the Yale thing is, but all they can tell me is this is what our charges are for. But we'll be happy to connect you with the right people. So I said, connect me. They never connected me. So I get a call today out of the blue from Yale, but apparently it was the hospital Yale, not the doctor side Yale. So I have no idea what the heck's going on. So needless to say, like I'm billed like 3 times for the same thing for a single doctor's visit. And as Budley notes here, I have a health So I have an HSA health plan, which was the more affordable option, and actually from an out-of-pocket perspective, no different than the PPO plan I had last year. So I pay like, I think 600 and change a month in premium for the family. And then I have what's called the high deductible plan, HSA plan. So the deductible is pretty much the full rate of the doctor's visit minus whatever contract the insurance company has with the hospital. So my visit, which was less than an hour, was over $275 for that visit. And again, the collection of all these different, actually 300 and change, the collection of all these things. So if I rack up $8,000 in deductible, then the insurance covers everything else. And the family plan that I'm on, so each individual is $8,000 each. But if we hit a maximum of, I think, $16,000 for the family, then they cover everything for the rest of the year. But you still have to come up with another $16,000 the following year, plus the $600 a month you're paying in premium, and nobody can answer a question. It's like, what? So, all right. So we've got this straightened out here. Hang on a second. All right, so I'm going to hit finish here. Enable remote connection. I'm going to skip that. I don't need to remotely manage my thing here. Okay, so now we're connected. And I'm on the Wi-Fi. So what are we connected at? So let's take a look. I'm just trying to see if I can see what my... Boy, they got a lot of settings in here. Okay, so we've got... So I got some real-time traffic. I'm just trying to see if I can get a list of all my clients. I'm curious what the phone is connected at here. So I'll show you what I see here. So it's kind of similar to what you have on a Unifi or whatever, right? So here's my unit. I think I was just here. Okay, so these are all my local IP addresses. So what I'm curious about is going through be thoroughly optimized. Okay, so we don't have the other nodes hooked up yet, so I don't want to deal with that. But I'm curious, though, is like, where do I find the list of what's connected to it? Oh, connected wireless device is 0, so it must not be on it. Let me connect on that. Let's do that real quick. Yeah, I'm with you, Andrew. I'm in. That's what I mean. That's why I haven't reviewed a lot of networking stuff, because the Unifi stuff works so well for me. Yeah, I think for those of you who are in Europe, it's a lot easier to deal with. And it used to be that you could get an appointment right away, and now after everything got consolidated, it's just as bad now, I think, as it is in socialized healthcare countries, because you can't get an appointment. It takes months for anything, unless you're like dying, and then they'll see you quicker. But if you don't know if you're dying, then they make you wait. But it's horrendous. We've created, I think what's happened is it's gotten so politicized, but the reality is that we've created these zones of involvement in the healthcare system. So you have the insurance companies, you have the hospitals and the healthcare providers, and the hospitals have largely gobbled up all the independent doctors' offices because they couldn't afford to stay in business with all the regulation and red tape. Then you have the insurers, the hospitals, the pharmaceutical companies, and the pharmacies, and they all hate each other. So people like to blame the insurance company, and they get blamed, but the reality is they're all at fault because they all are at each other's throats. They're trying to screw each other, and we get screwed in the meantime. Like we've pitted them against each other to the point where nobody's working on healthcare to improve healthcare. They're working on their own bottom lines, and they're in conflict with everybody else. That's the problem with healthcare. It's not even a political issue. It's the fact that we've created this system where all the key players in the system hate each other. So how does it make it better for customers? Same as like the telecommunications, the whole thing. It stinks. But let's get back to business here, though. Because in the meantime, the good news is my appointment went fine, even though they charged me a fortune for it. So what I'm trying to do here is get my phone connected. Don't get me going on this. I've been thinking a lot about this healthcare problem in our country here. Okay, so for whatever reason, it doesn't think my phone's connected, even though I'm connected to it. Because I'm actually connected to Asus Test 7. But it says here, connected wireless devices, 0. All right, so why don't we do a quick speed test? Let's see if that works. Now, granted, this is the most ridiculously unrealistic test you'll ever do because the devices are right next to each other. Yeah, so I have the Dream Machine Pro, and it's great. Yeah, so we're getting to a point where it's just a disaster. You know, it doesn't serve anybody. Even if you got money, it doesn't serve you because you're spending a lot of money on something that shouldn't cost as much as it does. All right, so we're right next to this thing here. Whoa, that's Wi-Fi. How about that? Now, granted, we're not pushing. That is super fast. That's pretty good. Well, I think what's happened is, it is a political issue, but I think what's happened in this country is that I guess it is a political issue, but both parties have created this monstrosity. It's a bipartisan mess that nobody knows how to fix because it's too big to fail and it's too regulated to be disrupted. So those are the problems. Yeah, you've got, exactly. And then you don't even have choice. So we have this marketplace. So I'm on the Obamacare here because I'm a self-employed person. And there's a lot of plans to choose from, but there's only 2 companies that actually compete for those plans. And one of them is never competitive. It's like they don't even want the business. So they want maybe young, single, healthy people, not some middle-aged dad. So in any event, we're in good shape here. That's pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is maybe relocate this thing to the other side of the room, and let's see if it's further away if we get the same performance. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll walk with the phone, which you won't be able to follow me around, but I'll just put this up, and then I'll come back and show you. But oh, that's exactly it. Because nobody wants anything to change. Even though they hate each other, they're still making money. Exactly. Yeah, and it's bad on the Veterans Administration side, too. I have a friend that works for the local vet administration. Now, we're not serving anybody well. That's the problem. Okay, so let me go walk to the other side of the room here. And let me do a speed test on the other side of the room, and I'll come back and tell you what it looks like. So I'm going to walk away. It's hard to go mobile when I'm only by myself over here. So now I'm on the other side of the room. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go in another room here. I got a back room, so I'm going to go back in here in my basement and kind of go a little bit further away. And I'm going to run this speed test. And, it drops off, but yeah, we're still pushing like 600 and change down. I mean, it's pretty good. Yeah, so this was like a simulation of if you have this thing in like your family room and you go to the kitchen, right? So if you have one of these in each room, this is what you can kind of expect. So here's what I just got. Again, this is with the iPhone. So 817 and 422. So that's like, if you were in a normal house environment, you had this thing in a living room or in the front closet or whatever, that's what you'd get. They have a Star Trek symbol on the front. Let's see. It's on the front of this thing, maybe? Oh yeah, it's got like a Star Trek symbol on there. That is cool. All right, so let's go in and, yeah, it's not bad. So that's a good question, Andrew. I have no idea what I'm connecting at. let's find out. So, because the problem here is that it doesn't tell me that, it still says that I've got no wireless devices connected. And this is what drives me crazy about this Asus stuff, or what I like about the Unify is that you know what's going on, right? Here, this phone is connected to this thing, and it says there's nothing connected to it. So I'm just trying to see how I can find out what's connected to it. Maybe Insight? Let's see. You know, I'm going to pop out of the app and pop back into it and see if maybe that tells us something different. Now what I will do is connect this computer and see if the computer does any better. Okay, so now we're connected. Okay, so now I see one connected device, but I can't get any data on that. Oh, here we go. Okay, so here's my phone. Okay, so the phone was on 6 gigahertz. So the phone connected over 6 gigahertz. But I had to reboot the app to find out who was on it. So it didn't refresh itself automatically. But let's see if it does something different now. So I did find that there's this devices thing here. And so it'll show you everything that's connected. So let's connect the laptop here and see what we get. Yeah, so what I did is I'm in my basement down here. So I've got a big open room. So I went out into the equipment room over there and then walked a little bit further away. So I had a sheetrock wall with metal studs and some other bunch of crap that's in the office here I've got to clean up. So there was an average amount of obstruction, but basically like walking into the next room with sheetrock in between was kind of how we had it there. And I'm with Pine on this. I like my web interface. Do I have access to YouTube Lite? I have regular YouTube Premium, which I've had forever. And I like the music thing with it. All right, so we're going to connect the laptop now to this. And let's see if we get anything different. So bear with me here, folks. All right, so now we're connecting. And then I got a note here that I'm using Wi-Fi 7 on Windows. And now if and that popped up automatically on here too. So now we've got the laptop connected. And it is connecting at 5 gigahertz. So this doesn't support, so the laptop doesn't support 6 gigahertz. So our best speed is going to be on the phone. So let me pull up the speed test. And this is where it gets tricky because what you need for the best outcome here is a lot of horsepower on here, but you also need a Wi-Fi radio on the client side that can receive a good amount of performance. Okay, so let's move my laptop into the frame here. Now granted, we are right next to it. So this is not a good example, but it's enough of like, okay, what's the best case scenario we can expect here? So let's hit go. Now remember, this is 5 gigahertz, the phone was 6. All right, here we go. Still, it's pretty good at 5 gigahertz. But it drops out a little bit more, just because we've got more interference. I've got a lot more 5 gigahertz traffic in the house. But still, it's pretty solid for Wi-Fi. It's pushing about 2 upstream right now. So that's not bad. So that's like your basic internet connection. Now the next thing I want to test is what it can do on the Ethernet side. So Budley says that's better than, yeah, it is definitely better than Wi-Fi 6, even at 5 gigahertz. And I think it uses more bandwidth, so it's using more channels of what's available. Is YouTube Line available? What's that? I don't know what that is, but good to see you, Amda Brown. Happy to find out if it is. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. I'm going to grab my 10 gig or Ricoh Thunderbolt USB 4 thing. And we're going to hook everything up here. So what we're going to do is run the Ethernet here. I'm going to disable the Wi-Fi in a minute too. Let's make sure this thing works. And we still have a 10 gig LAN port here that we can connect to. So let me go find oh, I got a patch cable right here. So we'll use the included patch cable. And Blimey says there's no web-based interface. No, it looks like it's all through the app, unfortunately. I will look and see, though, now that it's set up, to see if there is another method here. All right, so we're going to plug into the 10 gig. And now we're connected. So I'm pretty sure they launched it. Didn't they launch it last week or 2 weeks ago? I think it's regional, though, so I'm not sure which locales get it first. All right, so Ethernet is connected. Let me just make sure that we are on the right thing. I'm going to disable the Wi-Fi for now, just to be safe that we've got the Ethernet going here. And I do have an iPerf thing running on my Mac in the other room. So what I need to do real quick is just check my network. Okay, so we have our 10 gig connection, so we're good there. And let's do another speed test. Now this time we're doing Ethernet. All right, so we're running through this 10 gig Ethernet thing. And let's see what we get. Not good. I don't know what's going on, but we should be getting a lot more than that. There might be some driver tweaks maybe, I don't know, but that's not good at all. All right, so we are getting better on the upstream. So there's something configuration-wise that's not working here. Unless that's all it can do. I don't know. And I'm running this versus an iPerf because I want to see what its routing speed is. So it starts off strong, and then it levels off real quick. So we're pushing about 2.6 gigabits per second downstream, 2.8. So it's doing better than the first run. And I suspect that there's a lot going on with the deep packet inspection that it's probably slowing things down a bit. Let me hook up my Mac and see if we get a different result with that. These cheaper 10 gig adapters can be a little flaky. So let me do that real quick. And I will check and see if there is a web gateway. So let's see, 192.168.50.1. Okay, there looks to be a web interface. So let me log into it and see if I can do something with it. Okay, here you go. The web interface looks identical to any Asus router you've used in the past. It looks the same and looks totally different than the app interface. Completely different. But you have access to it's pretty much all your standard router stuff. So let's see what our network map looks like here. And it's showing 2 clients, one wired and one wireless. So that's the phone and that's the laptop. Now, can we run a speed test on here? I don't think internet speed. So it's got like a max speed thing, but not a speed test. All right, so let me hook up my Mac real quick because I'm curious now. Where did my Mac go? I'm curious to see if the Mac might do a little better on this. So let's do that real quick. And then we'll set up the second node and find a place to put it. All right, so let me get the Mac going here. Okay, got the Mac. So now we're going to take the Ethernet and plug it into the Mac and see what we end up with. Okay, so now, and D. Smith, let me know where the speed test is, and I'll try to run it, because I'd like to get like a true routing speed out of this. All right, so I got my Mac going here, and what I need to do is just make sure that it is the active connection. So I got to wait for it to initialize and everything. It does take it a second for it to spin up my Thunderbolt Ethernet. And if you're curious which one I'm using, this one is so far the lesser of many evils, the Orico here. So it's a cheaper one. It's actually on sale with a coupon today. I think it sells for $159 minus a coupon, so 120 something. And it's a true 10 gig adapter. All right, so now we are connected via 10 gig on the Mac. Now let's see if maybe this Ethernet adapter did not like the other thing. Now this Mac does not have Wi-Fi 7, but we're connected over Ethernet. So let's give it a go. And again, we're looking for routing speed here. Okay, that's what I would expect. That's much better. So it looks like it was a Windows driver with the network card. Try it again here. Yeah, so we're getting close. I found with these speed tests, it's hard to find a speed test server that can handle my full 10 gigs. So this is a Wi-Fi mesh router. And for some reason, I got to reconnect to my network here. Sorry, everybody, give me 1 second to... And we're just kind of running it through its paces at the moment. And yeah, I got this at a Chromebook press event last year. It's a nice mug. It's my afternoon mug. I have a morning mug and an afternoon mug. All right, so now let's see if we can figure out how to hook up the other device. All right, let me get this. So you know what I might do? I might go upstairs and like plug this in. Let's see how we do that. So we're going to add now the second access point. So in the box, these things look identical, and they are. So if I put them next to each other, they're probably the same thing. I bet you they just configured one's firmware to not be a router, because they're otherwise identical. The part numbers are the same. Everything's the same. And if you can, it's always best to home run these with an Ethernet connection versus relying on wireless to do it. right, so let me see how we add the mesh, the mesh to the mix here. So if I go back to home, let's take a look. Now this one came with only 2 of these in the box. So there's another kit they sent me with, it doesn't have the tri-band, so it doesn't support the 6 gigahertz, but it's a 3-pack. Code Venom is here. So I think from a bandwidth perspective, it looked pretty good when I was right next to it. All right, so I'll try that next time I'm in there. But the good news is now that we saw the Mac working properly, I'm confident that it can handle the connection speed. So I haven't, honestly, I haven't looked at routers in a really long time, partly because I've been so satisfied with my Wi-Fi equipment. But in the past, I used Asus routers and I was happy with them. I ran an Asus router up until I switched over. So they've been pretty good. All right, so AI mesh. So I guess I'm just going to plug it in and see what happens. So you know what I might do? So this is Comcast. So if you go to Lon.TV/gig pro, you can find the entire scoop on this whole connection. It's super fast, 10 gig symmetrical. And I have that information on the max speeds. I don't have them in front of me. But it's not what you just saw. All right, so let me go back here. I'm just going to plug this in while I'm sitting here and see if they pair up. Why not, right? May as well since we are already here. All right, so I've got 2 of these things now. Theoretically, this other one should work without having to do anything. And you know what I could do? I could dispatch the Mac upstairs and we can try to ping it with iPerf and see what we get. That could be fun. All right, so plug this in. And I'll connect this and we'll turn the power on. Now let's see what happens. I may have to scan it maybe, I don't know. Let's see. Or you hit plus here. Ah, okay, so this is what you do. We can set up a new network or add an AI mesh node. So I'm going to do the node. And I have this on, but it hasn't found it yet. Maybe it's got to boot up. Let's see. Yeah, I would say so. Because it doesn't hurt, right? And I did see, now granted this was like in the perfect environment here with it right in front of the other thing, but we were pushing like 1.4 gigs symmetrical on my Wi-Fi 7 equipped iPhone here. So that was pretty good. All right, I'm not seeing my device. So your AI mesh node is powered on, has the latest firmware, is not reset to default. Move your closer to the AI mesh router. So it's suggesting that we actually hook the 2 up via an Ethernet cable. Although this one just turned blue, so maybe it's communicating now. Let's try it again here. Plus, add AI mesh node. Now it changed color again. So I might just hook the 2 up via Ethernet. That might get it coaxed into operation here. Let's try that. Oh, now it's blinking. It goes through all sorts of machinations here. Yeah, I think anything where you've got the potential for high bandwidth transfers, this makes a lot of sense. And I don't think you can run Docker on these things. They feel pretty locked down. What's funny is that the web interface is so different than the phone interface. Like Unifi has a more unified kind of UI. So the web interface we just saw on the router is like identical to the one I was using 10 years ago, just with more features, obviously. Oh, so blue is set up. All right, so why don't I just plug the two in together? Because that was one of the things that said you could do. So let's try that. So I'm going to plug it in, I'm guessing to the LAN side, maybe? Let's see. I don't know. We'll just figure it out. So I hit plus to find it, and it didn't find it. So we'll hit it again here and see what we get. Now it's blinking super fast. I bet you I'm going to see it now. What do you think? Well, what's funny is that I live out in a more rural area, so we have no neighbor problems. Although, this is actually a funny story. So the other day, my neighbor had a tree come down and knock his coax out of the house. And he's a huge basketball fan. And the cable company couldn't get to him for like 2 or 3 days because they had to get rid of the tree first before they'd come out and get the cable hook back up again. So I ran into him and he's like, oh my gosh, he subscribed to like Paramount Plus specifically because he wanted to watch the Final Four. So he just did like a month subscription. It was the first night of the tournament. And could not watch it. He had no means of watching March Madness. So I said, let me try something here. So I've got a portable Wi-Fi 6 access point. I think it's a TP-Link. I forgot where I got it cheap. I just use it when I'm doing the very rare times that I do field production stuff. And it turns out my window from the bonus room pointed directly to the wall that his television was against, and he was able to watch it, able to watch the game through my Wi-Fi. We were able to extend it out. It was really cool. Well, so far, we're not connecting here. So maybe I plugged it into the wrong port. So right now I've got it in the 10 gig LAN port. So our AI mesh node is powered on. Our node has the latest firmware. I don't know if it has the latest firmware. I don't know how I would get it the latest firmware if I can't connect to it. Try connecting the main router and nodes using an Ethernet cable. So maybe I'll plug them both in and I'll turn this one off and back on again. Maybe that's what we have to do. I do like that there's a hardwired switch on these. All right, so let's try that again. All right. So now we're back on the waiting for. So Tom says they should pair with or without the cable. So maybe I'm doing. Maybe I'm such a tech nerd that I'm doing it wrong. But it wasn't finding it. Let me see. And there's no like instructions anywhere. There's a lot of documentation in here. Let's see. Oh, there is. Quick start guide. And maybe I did the order of operations wrong on here, but let's see. Prepare AI mesh mode. Here's something interesting too. So I don't like this. When you're using wireless backhaul to connect your router and AI mesh node, the WAN LAN ports on your AI mesh node, oh, they can be, never mind, I'm sorry. When you're using, oh, can be used, oh, never mind. So you can use the Ethernet ports on the mesh node as Ethernet ports. You can hardwire into them and have wireless backhaul. It says connection failed. Let's try it again. So hit plus, and we'll go to add AI mesh node. It's lit up blue. They're hardwired. I got nothing. Now, I did plug it into the LAN port, which I would imagine is where you'd want to plug it into. Let's see. Wonder if I have to reset this one, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, let me try that, because that was an issue before, right? We had to close the app and reopen it again, so let's try that again and see if that might fix things. All right, so we're going to reopen the app. All right, Asus router. And now we're going to go to the plus button. Add AI mesh node. Let's see what we get. So I did the open and shut on that. Okay, so every key it says reset. I think I did that, but let's try it again. Why not? And I guess I could try to power cycle both of them. So not as slick as I thought it would be so far, but let's see. We still have some time to figure this out. Okay, so now it's blinking. Yeah, I found that if there's a way for it not to work, all I have to do is live stream it and it won't work. All right, if you're hardwired to the other, I think you can set up the mesh and the GUI. That's what I'm in right now. Is that what I'm in? Is this the GUI? So I'm looking for the other mesh device and it's not finding it, unless it's already on the network. I don't know. Let's go to devices. So I've got my Zen Wi-Fi, my iPhone, and my VivoBook. And these are devices that it saw previously. These are the Ethernet connections we had earlier. AI mesh, so that's our home. And there's nothing else that's connected to it, I don't think. So our 10 gig LAN 3 doesn't seem to work there. So let's go and go back to devices. See you later, Budley. Thanks for stopping by, and appreciate your support. Yeah, still not seeing it. Okay, we could try that too. Now what I could try here is going into the web interface, and let's see if that works. Oops. All right, so now I'm using the web interface, which again looks totally different than the phone interface. Let's see if it's if it'll find it this way. And if it doesn't, what I'm going to do is unplug the Ethernet again and see if we can get it to connect the other way. But everything I'm reading, this should be like turn it on and it'll find it if it's within a close proximity to the master. But it's not looking promising. But it's just crazy though that the web interface looks so old school. Yep, didn't find anything. Okay, so let's try this. We're gonna turn this off again. I'm gonna take the Ethernet out. And let's power it up again without it and see what happens. Something's bound to work. Yeah. AI at its best. So this doesn't have Mocha directly, but you could use Mocha as the backhaul. And I would say that that would be the ideal. I'll test it. That would be the ideal way to backhaul it. So I'm just going off of my, my manual here. I can try to find the instructions, but they don't give you much. What they say is it should just connect. Like if it has to be in close proximity. I was looking at there's actually not much to see. So let's take a look here. Yeah. So what it says here is AI mesh setups. 1, prepare. Place your mesh router and node in the same room at least 1 meter apart. 2, keep your AI mesh node powered on and standby for AI mesh settings. 3, launch router app. So I wonder if maybe I screwed up by not doing both of them at the same time when we configured it for the first time. I'm not sure. So I think it rebooted itself, but I can reboot it. Let's see, let's try this one more time, because now it's blinking. You can't see it because the thing's in the way, but see it's blinking again. So let's go plus, add AI mesh node. Let's see if it'll pick it up now that we're blinking. So I would imagine if they want you to buy more of these things, right? Like, you buy 2, it's not enough, you need a few more. If I get this working, I may ship this up to my brother who's been struggling with his Wi-Fi. Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize some of these have coax. Yeah, so I would say just get a Mocha adapter, and that would be a good backhaul. And once I get this node working, I'm actually going to try that. I'm going to put this upstairs and keep this one down here and see how it works. But we're blinking as we should be. Let me try the web interface here and see if it finds it. So I've got the web interface now going too. Let's see. I have to say, I reviewed this a little while ago. This is their VivoBook S. It's a really good computer. It's dirt cheap. It's like $699, I think. And it's a nice computer. It's got an OLED. It's got 32 gigs of RAM. It's got the Core Ultra 7, the current generation. It's a slick little computer. I really like it. Yeah, so why don't we do the full-on reboot here, and let's see if that makes a difference here. So I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to shut both of them down at the same time, and let's see what happens with that. But what stream would be a stream without things not working? And I'm going to close the app on my phone here, and let's see what happens. I'm going to reconnect to my other Wi-Fi. There we go. Okay. I'm totally screwing up my Wi-Fi at the house here because I've got, got too much stuff going on at once. Okay, so we're going to switch them both back on. Okay, so now we're booting up from scratch, which means I got to reconnect everything, which we shall do. I'm thinking, Andy, I think that might be what's going on here because I installed the firmware on this one before I turned this one on, and I bet you that's what's going on here. But yeah, the AI is going to kill me now. It's going to open up the airlock, and I'm just going to it's going to suck me right out. Okay, so it looks like I'm green on both. Well, they're both pulsating. What does that mean? Have they found each other? Did they fall in love? I bet you there's probably like some kind of process that it goes through when it first boots. Well, let's see. Let's see if the Wi-Fi is available yet here. Okay, so that one came up. That one's blinking blue again. So my guess is they want you to do both at the same time. Okay. Hunter is here. Yeah, this is like one of our learning streams where we take a product out of the box, and rather than do this in solitude, I bring you all in to watch me figure out how stuff works. Okay, so now we're connected. Okay, so we're back up and running, although it says unable to connect to the internet now. Your internet is currently not available. Oh, now we're good. Okay. All right, so we're connected. That's blinking blue, which somebody says is a good thing. That's what D. Smith says. Blinking is good. Okay, so blinking is good. I've got a connection. My phone is working. All right, so now we're going to go back to I will get you that model number in 1 second for. It's a great little laptop. Let me go in and go to Devices, AI Mesh, and now we're going to add the device again. See, the other thing is this interface gets confusing because there's multiple places that you could do the same thing. Okay, add AI Mesh. So now we're back to this searching screen. And while that is searching, what I will do is get the model number of the laptop, because I think I can actually embed the model number into this thing. Yeah, we're still back to where we were before, where it's not finding it. But let me go over to the web interface, add mesh node. I have to reset this. Oops. I'm on the wrong Wi-Fi on the computer. Okay. Okay, so now we're connected. So if I refresh this. Okay, so now we're back in here. The phone's still not finding it. But let's go over to AI Mesh, add AI Mesh node. What I might do is hit the reset button on this thing, and maybe that will coax it along. And while that's going, let me find the information on the laptop. So this laptop, I reviewed it a few weeks ago. And it's called the Asus VivoBook S. S is in Sam. And it's always on sale. I don't think Walmart has it, but if you're on YouTube, I'll pop it in the thing. Oh, it's out of stock. Of course it's out of stock. Bear with me, I'll find the link to it. And I'll stick it in the chat. Oh, it went up in price. Huh. Well, it's not so cheap anymore. And it's out of stock. Yeah, check out my review and just follow that link and just come back to it every couple of days, because it's the Asus VivoBook S. All right, so I did that. I went to the web page GUI thing, and I'm in here, and it still can't find it. So what I think I'm going to do is hit the reset button on the bottom here, and maybe it just needs a reset. And these things came shrink wrapped, so it wasn't like they set it up before in the factory. But it's not finding it. I'm not sure how long I'm supposed to hold this button down for, but we're going to do it as long as I need to. All right, so I release the button. And I think it's rebooting now. Yeah, hang on, let me see if I can find this thing. So it was available at the link that I have on the review, and it's not available any longer. Out of stock. But it's called the Asus VivoBook S. Let me see who's got it. So there's a 15-inch one. This is the 14, I think. All right, so the one I have is not available. But let me look and see what the other one is here. All right, this is not working. Yeah, still not seeing it. Although I got a different color light now, so I guess we need to see it blinking blue for this to work. So maybe it's still in the process of resetting itself. So yeah, the internet stuff is working fine. So for example, if you wanted to see a quick speed test, we did do one earlier. But I can run a speed test on here real quick so you can get a feel for that. Let me just make sure I'm on the right Wi-Fi here. Yeah, okay, so let me reach out to them and say, hey, the node ain't working. Now, granted, this is like the best possible conditions for a speed test because the access point's right next to it. But if I hit my go button here, this is routing speed, so I was curious to see what the routing speed of it is. Although it's kind of bobbing around a little bit more than it was before. But earlier we got like some really good performance out of this. And it's still not shabby to get close to a gigabit. Something's screwed up here. And it could be this thing is interfering because it's in some kind of pairing mode. I bet you that might be what's going on there. I don't know. I gotta sanitize this entire testing environment. Earlier we were getting 1.4 gigabits per second in both directions. But I have a feeling this thing is creating some interference perhaps. All right, so it's blinking blue again. Let me try the other. Oh, I think it might see something here. Hang on. Let's see. Okay, so now it's lit up white. I have no idea, like they're both white now. So what does that mean? I feel like I'm in like a Twilight Zone thing here. Now that one's yellow. I bet you, now it just popped up on here. So I think it's working now. I bet you that it's doing some kind of thing. Because look, there's two things here now. So that's our base unit. Yep, I think it's pairing now. I don't know what I did. I hit the reset button. That's what I did. So that seems to have done something. Okay, so we're going to let this finish pairing or whatever the heck it's doing. I think they're communicating. Yeah, so Asus did have an issue. I can't remember what it was. I gotta look up the what exactly was the problem. But there was some federal concern over the security of these things, and I think it might have been in regards to updates or lack thereof. Let me look that up real quick. Yes, so back in 2016, So to some degree, this actually works in their favor, I think. So back in 2016, I'm sorry I don't have my screen up here for you guys, but the feds hit Asus with a 20-year audit probe for a router security blunder. So that was something that happened a number of years ago. All right, so you know what we could try here real quick, because now this thing is up. So they're both white, things are working. What I could do now is relocate this one, because now we've paired them up. We have our quantum entanglement. What I will do is bring this one upstairs, and we'll just see how the wireless backhaul works. Kind of in a similar function to how like a normal person might try to set this up. So I'm going to relocate it. It doesn't give you much in the way of guidance as to where to locate these things. Let's see what the optimization button does. Sorry, my stream has been so crazy here. Okay, so we're going to optimize it when we bring it upstairs. So what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to go set this thing up kind of directly upstairs. So we're going to plug this in somewhere else in the house, upstairs. And I will bring my Mac up there. I'm thinking about how I'm going to engineer this. I'm going to bring my Mac up there. And I'm going to have the Mac run iPerf. I think I have iPerf on it. Let me just double check. Yes, so I'm going to have iPerf running in server mode. And I will connect the Mac over Ethernet to this, so that we've got kind of the best connection. And then down here, we will run an iPerf test on this computer to the Mac upstairs and see what kind of bandwidth we get. Now what it's going to do is it's going to backhaul our network through Wi-Fi initially. OS, update everything. So yes, we will run the update, and then we will test everything. So that is what I'm going to go do. So you might be able to hear me talking as I'm going upstairs. So I'm going to just plug everything in upstairs and come back down. So just hang on for a minute as I do that. And to some degree, working out of the home is actually a good place to experiment with this stuff. All right, get all these pieces put together here. And I will be right back. So in the meantime, everybody talk amongst yourselves, and you'll be able to hear me while I'm up there. So you guys can entertain yourselves. Be nice to each other. You get to hear my squeaky door. And just got to keep the Mac on long enough. I got to figure out how to delay it going to sleep. Ugh. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of do a downstairs one and an upstairs one. And I suppose I could set it up over here. Now I'm going to go up another level here. But you can backhaul these over Ethernet, which is kind of neat. Okay. You all still hear me? I think I'm barely hanging on here. All right, so I do have some, actually I have a Mocha up here that I can use later. All right, so we're going to power the Mac up. I'm going to set up our Ethernet here, or our access point. And now it should find its partner auto-magically. And I'm going to connect the Mac up over Ethernet. So let that go. And I got to hang around up here for a second because I need to know what IP address the Mac is going to get. I actually still have a decent signal all the way up here. So I'm going to run another speed test while I'm standing up here. Oh, now, yeah, it dropped. I just lost it. Okay. So we may not even be able to connect to the other one from up here. Let's see. All right, we're almost there. It's blinking green now. Actually, I should be able to get the max network address. All right, we'll give it a second to boot up. I'll come back down. All right. And we may have a situation where I have to bring it a little bit closer, but I kind of want to push the envelope a little bit. Okay, so we're just waiting for the AI mesh to come back up. It seems like it takes it a while for them to find each other. So let's see what we get. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. That's what's great about these streams is that, a lot of times when people do a review, they've figured out all this stuff, they talk about it, but the actual streaming part is the yeah, sounds like in some ways that's true. I was actually a level or two up. So I'm just waiting. Okay, so it came back up. So we now have upstairs in the other part of the house. And if I click on it here, now what it's not telling me is how good our connection is back to the main unit here. Oh, it's okay. So I guess okay is not as good as great. And I think it just figures out the best way to connect. So I'm leaving everything auto. All right, so now I'm thinking out loud here. Now what I'm going to do, because I'm on Wi-Fi here, so I'm going to grab iPerf. I don't think I have it on this computer yet. So I'm going to grab iPerf 3, and we're going to do a network test up to that Mac upstairs. I'm just curious, inside the home, how that might play out. So bear with me here, folks. I just got to find the most recent Windows release here. All right, so we're downloading that. Okay, so that's downloaded. And what I could do here is actually give you my screen so we can start seeing how some of this plays out. So let's do that now. Okay, so I'm going to plug in my handy dandy capture thing here. And I'll bring in that. Hopefully it doesn't lock my computer up. Sometimes it locks it up, but I think we'll be okay. Yeah, good. All right. So now I got that. So now we're going to go to the command line here. I'm just going to drop this into my downloads folder. Now what I need to do is get the IP address of our computer upstairs. So that one is 227. So now that we have that, we're going to pull up the command line here. And we do a very simple iPerf connection here. And I'll do a more complex one in a minute. Okay, so now we're going to run this speed test. Oops, iPerf 3. Ah. Oh, wow. That's much better than I expected. That's actually pretty good. So I will give you a zoomed in version of this. This is wireless backhaul, which is actually probably almost as good as what it would be if I did the Mocha, at least the Mocha 1.0. All right, let's run that again. This time I'm going to use the more complex test, and I have to remember how to do that. Let me pull up my notes here. Bear with me, folks. Okay, so we're going to do the multi-threaded version here. So let's do iperf 3 /c 192.168.50.227 /p8/t. We'll do a 15-second one. I'll leave that off. Okay, so let's see what we get this time. So this one's going to do a multi-threaded test just to kind of maximize the bandwidth here. So what you want to see is the bottom number. That's actually really good. I'm surprised it's this good. So what we're doing here is we're backhauling over wireless. So we were able to push about 738 megabits per second from this computer up to the other one. That's not bad. It's actually really good. That's wireless backhaul. Yeah, like the TV show. Hey, you got foster dogs. That's awesome. Is it hard? It must be hard to part with them. I could never like part with a dog after having it in my house. All right, so now why don't we do the reverse? I think it's just -R. I think we do -R. That's what we do. Yeah, maybe. I really ticked it off now. Didn't like that command. Let's see. Oh, it started and I turned it off. Let's do a very simple one here. We'll just do -C, -R. There we go. Okay, so now we're sending from upstairs. So what we did before is we were pushing data from down here up there. Now we're reversing it. So now we're having it send data to us. And we're getting about the same. Now for some reason, there it goes. Now it's working. And it crapped out. It doesn't like the multi-threaded one. So I wonder if it's overloading the process here. And we just lost it. I don't know what happened. It was working fine. So let's go back to the app here and see if everything is still connected. So let's refresh. It's still there. I wonder if we locked it up upstairs. Let me see. It's still pinging. Yeah, I think the app got frozen. I might have screwed it up when we were doing it earlier. So let me go and I can actually connect to that Mac remotely from. I need another Mac. Let me go find my other my other Mac here. Hang on, everybody. I can, without having to go back upstairs, I can just pop over to my desk here and see what its status is. All right, so I'm going to connect to my remote computer upstairs. Oh, I don't have the share screen out. I thought I had the share screen working on that one. Shoot. All right, well, the good news is that it works better than I thought it would. So that's a plus. So there you go. How long have we been on for here? Let's take a look here and see. So I got enough to kind of get started here, I think. And the question is, what do I do with the other ones? So they sent a bunch of these other access points. Why don't we take one more out and just see what happens? So I've got these outdoor ones. It's funny, it's been a long time since I've tried this stuff. So these are the BD5s. I think these are the weatherproof ones. Let me see. Doesn't say they're weatherproof. I'm just curious if you can mix and match them. All right, so we're going to open up one more here. So this is the BD5. And let's see, I think I remember reading somewhere that these were supposed to be outdoor, but I don't know if they are. We will find out soon enough. All right, so let's take a look at the thing here. All right. So D. Smith says we should be able to mix and match any of them. So why don't we take a look at what's in this box. So these are the BD5s. And they sent these to me free of charge, by the way. But one of you will end up with these at some point. All right, so let's take these out. So these are smaller. These are definitely not weatherproof, so these may not be the weatherproof ones. This is the main. Okay, so this one's the main unit, so we're not going to futz around with that. I'm sure you could reset them and have them become nodes all-inclusive. So I'm just going to plug this one in and see if it gets detected or not. The power button's a little different on here. Now this has, the reason why I went with this one first is that these other two that I got only support 2.5 gig, not 10. And as you saw, we have 10 gigabit here. So this test is to see if this one will just boot up. And speaking of mesh, sort of related, is I just ordered myself a little DIY kit for Meshtastic, which is kind of a fun radio thing. Ugh. So here's an interesting comment from Desert Coon. What justifies Wi-Fi 7 is because Wi-Fi 6 is insanely fast for me. That's interesting. So Wi-Fi 6 has not been good for you. Wi-Fi 6 has been very good for me. I don't have a lot of traffic in this house. So yeah, I don't think this one's outdoor. They had said, let me check my email from them, because they had said that one of these was like an outdoor thing. Let me pull it up here. And I got to make some notes here, too, before I forget. Asus. Okay, so bear with me for 1 second here. I'm just trying to find the email thread. Okay, so the BT10 was what we were just looking at. They sent the BT8. Oh, you know what? They were supposed to send the BD5 outdoor, but I did not get that in the box. That's what it was. So I didn't know what I was getting. I saw outdoor on the list, but these are not the outdoor ones. But they do have an outdoor one. But I have enough that I could wire up half the neighborhood at this point. Stick one of these in a window and you're good to go. All right, so let's plug it in here. And we'll power it up. And let's see if this gets detected automatically. I don't know. I'm just curious if this is how it works on all of them. And there is a WPS button. And we'll find out if there's an update needed when we boot it up. All right, so this is coming up. I now know what the colors mean. So green is booting. But I do so I have Wi-Fi 6 throughout the house now. I have all of my Unify access points on Wi-Fi 6. Although today I just bought the new AC or Wi-Fi 7 Lite access point for down here. So we'll have a Unify update soon too. Okay, so now it's blue. So I'm going to go back to my app here. I get the sense that these things just kind of add themselves automatically, because I didn't have to like actually go through the adding thing. It just did it the last time. But let me go back here and hit the plus button here and see if it finds a node. So I just hit, we're going through this process again. I hit the Find New Device button here. I have a feeling that if they're close to each other, they just kind of magically connect to one another. Oh, I found it this time. See that? That was what it was supposed to do. And now it's connecting. So that's what it's supposed to do. So it's going to be 7 minutes for these two to develop a relationship. And then they work. So that's what was supposed to happen on the last one. So at least we got a demo of how that's supposed to work. But I got to tell you, I'm very impressed with that wireless backhaul. I was not expecting it to work as well as it did. That was really good. All right, so I'm going to make a couple of notes here before I forget. About everything we just went through. And I got to log into my Google account here. Have you all started using passkeys on your devices? I have started doing that. All right. Okay, we've connected up. So yeah, this takes a little while. So I'm guessing that the time it takes is that this thing has to get its firmware update. They need to figure out the best way to communicate with each other. And then it's off and running. And I would say for most people, well, I guess, you know, it's funny because I think, I don't know what they're using or how they're backhauling. I got to dig into this a little bit. My guess would be that you may want to go with the BT10 here if you're planning to set up a bunch of these nodes, because you could use like the 6 gigahertz as the backhaul depending on how far apart they are. And I'm guessing it tries to figure it out when they boot up what the best way to handle the backhaul is. I mean, I think I was really hoping they would just send me one as opposed to 3 different ones, because it's just hard. They all work the same, right? It's but I would say, I guess it really depends too, because this is a dual band unit. Yeah, so this one's dual band, which means it does 2.4 and 5, but not 6. This one does 6, 5, and 2.4. And at the moment, you have a bit of an advantage. So I think if you were doing wired backhaul, these would be, the dual bands would be the preferable way to go, especially if you don't have a lot of 6 gigahertz devices. That's what I would say. Yes, I may focus my review on this and then talk about why you might want one over the other. I think that's how I'm gonna arrange this one. So I hate doing duplicative content. Yeah, and that really is what it comes down to, right? It's a matter of who's on your block. And you know, where I live, I'm actually in a good place to test the full bandwidth of these things because I don't have a lot of people interfering. So I have my neighbor across the street. He's probably the closest house to mine. But I've got all this concrete down here that's blocking me from him. What's really cool, though, is my Wi-Fi access point. This is what's so neat about this Wi-Fi thing, is that it captures every SSID that is not part of its network and just logs it in its security log. So it tracks, you know, these people have hotspots in their cars. So there's like a log of every car with a hotspot that drives by that it picks up off of one of its access points. It's crazy. I've got like this long list of people's cars and the time that they came by and the regular back and forth. It's nuts. So if you got one of those, if you have like one of those access points in your car, you may want to think about turning it off because it's possible to log your comings and goings. Yeah, I think that's probably true, isn't it? So maybe that's what we'll talk about, is which one to get depending on your backhaul strategy. And I will bring up the Mocha, especially if you're not using your coax in your house anymore. Even if you are, it doesn't matter. It works over it anyhow. All right, so now we're connected here. So I now have, if I refresh, it looks like it's updating itself. Now I'm impressed with this. I think this is working pretty well. I'm surprised actually how good this works. All right, so we'll let that reboot, and then we'll see if it connects, and then I got to run. Because people are home, they're going to be hungry soon, and you know how that goes. All right, so we'll let that finish booting. So it must be doing a firmware update. So a tri-band uses the 6 gigahertz band as dedicated, leaving just 2. Which one? Let's see. So the BT10, which is what I have here, that's the one we've been playing with the most today. So this is tri-band. So I guess the next one up was the 15. Is that one? That's the one that's got the quad band. And I'm guessing for backhaul, it just kind of does its own thing. You know what's really cool? Is that 802.11b devices are still compatible. So if you've got so I got my first Wi-Fi device probably in 2001. It was right around the same time I got DSL at home. And it was so cool to have, I don't think I have, oh yeah, I have it back there. It's hard to see, but tucked behind those mini arcades is a little compact iPack. And they had these sleds that you could put on them. And one of them was a PC MCIA slot. So I had a Wi-Fi card, one of those Orinoco cards. And I popped that into the little device there. And I started walking around the perimeter of my house to see how far I could get. And I could get this is on 802.11b back in 2001 with my Wi-Fi access point, on an upstairs thing. I could get it from my neighbor's house. I mean, pretty much anywhere around the yard. It was amazing. It was so cool. Well, I see. So backhaul uses the 6 gigahertz is what you're saying. That makes sense. I was really impressed with the backhaul performance on this. It's really good. All right, so now we're up. And yep, so now we've got all three here. So I guess the backhaul, now here's the question then, Tiago, maybe you have the answer to this one. If we have a dual band here, what does that do to the other bands on here if it's using 6 gigahertz for the backhaul? I guess you can configure all this stuff. Let me see here. So can we go in and like really dial in this backhaul here? Let me see here. Okay, yes, so we have a backhaul. Now it doesn't tell me how it's backhauling right now, but we can, look at that. So you can set the priority for how it backhauls. And then let's go to the other one here and see what it has for options, because this one's only a dual. Yes, there we've got only 5 and 2.5. Oh, so it actually, oh, that's interesting. So if it's going to 5, then that entire band is, I guess this probably makes sense. The whole radio is in use for that. Interesting. Yes, your PSP will still work. I think that one was like, wasn't that 802.11g or whatever? I can't remember which one of the ones it worked with. So I remember like one of them was not backwards compatible with the other. So you had B, and then there was A. But I think if it was A, you couldn't have any B's connected, otherwise everything ran at B speed. And then you had G, which I think corrected some of that, and then there was N, which was faster. Very confusing. Right, so for backhaul, interesting. So I wonder then, let's go back to my phone because I am connected. What am I connected to? Let's find out. So if I go back to devices here, and I'm actually going to shut this one off just so that we don't confuse my phone here. So if we go back to home, and I want to go to devices, all. All right, so my iPhone is currently connected to this one. And so I'm connected 6 gigahertz. I don't know what the backhaul is to the one upstairs is then. But here, you know what we'll do before we close out? Let me do one more speed test. And then I got to figure out how to demo this when I do the review. This is one of those things that takes a whole day to review because you want to get it right. All right, so let's see how the speed test goes. Again, we're still like super close to this thing. It's probably too close. Yeah, that's what that's what we were getting before. I think I'm still too close to it. Yeah, I'm still too close to it. Yeah, I'll have to play around with it a little bit earlier. We did get a really good first test, if you all remember that. So that's good. Yeah, this stuff is complicated. So I need to research a little bit more about how these things backhaul, and then we can kind of go from there. But I think for the best performance, you'll want one of these faster ones. So there you go. All right. Well, the good news is that it works. And you missed the iPerf test. We did it a little bit earlier. We did an iPerf test upstairs. I could run one now, I guess. I think I have iPerf on here. Although did I turn off? Let's see if it's still working. I think our iPerf is locked up. Oh, there it goes. It worked. It started working again. Here, I'll pull it up for you. So we are iPerfing over the backhaul. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, 734. It's pretty good. Try it again here. We'll do a multi. I didn't see any real difference with the multi-threaded test. But we can run that one again. I'll do only 4. So it was locking up on 8 of them. But we were getting about the same bandwidth, so I wasn't saturating it. And this is the backhaul. So what I've got is my Mac on the other side of the house. And what you want is a lower number. So our final score here was 863, basically 850 in both directions. Okay, we'll go up to 6 threads and see if that... Yeah, it's not making any difference. But it's still pretty good. I'm getting irradiated here. And this is wireless backhaul. So I've got the Mac upstairs is connected via Ethernet to the other side of the connection here. So that's impressive. I like it. I think it's a good networking experience. All right, so I got some research to do. I'm going to keep this one like consumer level, and then I will take all the comments, and then we'll dig in and like see how we can really tweak it. Yeah, so that's another good tip here too. I do that here at the house for my Wi-Fi connection. I keep everything separate so I know what I'm connecting to. So cool. All right. Well, I got a good start here. I think I know where I'm going with this, which is good because I wasn't sure how I was going to approach this, and it actually works better than I thought it did. So there you go. That's the Asus. Yeah, I will test out the little node here and see how this one does. And maybe I'll set it up in the same scenario up there and see how it handles everything. But I'm pretty impressed with it. Again, what's weird is just the difference between the web UI and the phone UI. And maybe that's on purpose because I'm guessing that the hardcore users are used to that Asus router interface, so that's why it looks the way it does. But it's like super, I don't want to say it's retro, but it is kind of a 10-year-old interface. It's old. So people are still, that's what I was using a while ago. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for now, but I'm impressed so far. And thank you all for tuning in and helping me out with this. All right, so I'm going to play around with some of the different channel options. And then remember, I've got my existing Wi-Fi working in the house still, so that's another factor. So what I need is like an office or a Faraday cage where I can set things up differently. But actually, to some degree, it's probably a good test of how it works in interference. But thank you, Daytrip, for tuning in. It was great having everybody here. I always appreciate the help I get when I do these. Because I haven't looked at, again, I haven't looked at routers in so long because I've been so happy with what I have. But you're going to see a little bit more networking in the next week or two because we got this stuff in. And then I've got, what else did I get? I got the Unifi Wi-Fi 7 access point. So I'm going to install that and replace my 6th one down here and see how it does. And we'll kind of go from there. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This was a fun experiment. But again, I got enough to get started. We got this stuff hooked up and functional. So that was good. Amda Brown, I missed your text there earlier. So he's got the TP-Link Deco. And yeah, the TP-Links are great too. I've had very good luck with TP-Link stuff. And you know, they're under scrutiny because of all the Chinese government stuff. So there was some rumors that they were going to be banned from the US. I haven't heard more about that lately. These are, you know, Asus is a Taiwanese company, and these are made in Vietnam. At least this one was made in Vietnam. This one was made also in Vietnam. So both of these are Vietnam. All right, Leonator is going to bed. It's midnight. Midnight somewhere. Here it is 4:50. So actually, China and Vietnam are not on the friendliest of terms. At least they weren't up until the tariff thing. So we'll see where they end up. But the Mac Mini that I reviewed recently from Apple, that was also made in Vietnam. So it looks like Foxconn or whoever they're using has made some investments over there. All right, got to run. Family's home. I need to get my assignment. My assignment begins at 5, so which is feed people, get them to bed. and we'll go from there. All right. Yeah, and I will do some Mocha with these. I think I'll look at Mocha as a backhaul. Although, I'll tell you what, the backhaul performance on this was so good, it may not be necessary. All right, gotta go. I'll be on here all night with you people. I enjoy it, but my wife wants me for tasks. All right, everybody, I'll catch you on the next stream, and stay tuned for more. Bye-bye.